We'll be discussing with Mr. Ahmed the role of ACCA. When I look at many US-based qualifications, there the prerequisite or the entry requirement, you have to have a bachelor's degree. With ACCA, there is no such requirement.
It was set in our DNA that we will try to remove artificial barriers for anyone who wishes to join the qualification.
Why is it that professional qualifications are actually sort of becoming like a necessity?
Governments are now emphasizing a lot on professional qualifications. We are providing funding nationals to go for professional qualifications.
What sort of roles can I actually take? Is it only accounting roles that I'm limited to?
It comes from a lot of stereotypical or myths around the accountancy profession overall. AI is not a barrier. It's actually an enabler.
So you don't see it as a threat?
I don't see it as a threat.
Tell me about any success story.
I think the easiest answer for this question is just sitting across the table.
Do I really need to have an accounting background to pursue ACCA? Assalamu alaikum and welcome everyone to Leaders Podcast today. I'm your host Shoaib Farooq, and joining me today is Mr. Ahmed, representing ACCA, the world's largest accounting body. I'm very excited about today's podcast because today we're going to be talking about one of the most powerful accounting and finance qualification, that is ACCA. So today we'll be discussing with Mr. Ahmed the role of ACCA globally as well as regionally and specifically in Qatar. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed, for joining me today.
Walaikum assalam, Shoaib. First of all, thank you very much for having me. I think I'm super excited to be on this podcast and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Welcome. Thank you for joining. I think this is your first ever podcast.
Yes, that's the debut.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, I want to thank you because I know that every time you fly down to Qatar, you're always very packed. And I know that your schedule this time around was also very tight. But you still managed to find time in the very last minute for this podcast. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm sure our viewers are going to benefit and derive inspiration from the conversation that we'll be having about ACCA.
Absolutely, that's the purpose and really looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, likewise. So Mr. Ahmed, let me begin with the very first question. For listeners who are not familiar with ACCA, what is ACCA? And as a professional body, what does ACCA actually do?
So ACCA is, in terms of its abbreviation, it stands for Association of Chartered Certified Accountants.
Okay.
It's a professional accounting body which was founded in 1904 in the UK, in London. It was started off by 8 accountants who wanted to start something, where there is no barrier into anyone who wants to join the qualification. So back in early 1900s, accountancy was a very closed profession.
Correct, yeah.
People, there were so many people who were not allowed to practice accountancy.
Very privileged.
It was only for the privileged class. Women were not allowed to practice accountancy.
Wow.
And we were the first professional accounting body who admitted a female member into the association in 1909.
Very interesting.
So what we wanted to do, we wanted to give an opportunity to the people who want to practice accountancy without having any sort of barriers.
All right.
And that is something which is still true to our DNA to this day.
Today as well.
So even if you look at overall the qualification entry points, those are still very flexible. But again, going back to your point, what we do, we produce one of the finest professional accountants in the world. We are a qualification. Our qualification is also known as ACCA. So sometimes people get confused between the association. So association is known as ACCA as well as the qualification is called ACCA.
Right.
So that's pretty much in a nutshell. That's what we do. That's who we are.
So you mentioned something very interesting, that ACCA produces finest accounting and finance professionals. And I think I can attest to this because I have myself completed ACCA as well as CFA. And I can confirm or validate the fact that the value that actually ACCA brought into my career. So yeah, it's a very global qualification and in fact one of the largest accounting body in the world. So to follow this up with the fact that, let's say if I'm a young learner and I want to pursue my career in accounting and finance, if I look up on Google, there will be a lot of different professional qualifications that will appear. So it's crowded. There is ACCA, there is CIMA, there is CPA within the accounting and finance domain. How should I, as a young learner, decide what is the right qualification for me to choose? Is there any measurable criteria or any checklist that I could use to decide which professional qualification I should pursue?
So thank you, Shoaib. I think that's a very good question. And I will answer it in three ways, the three reasons I can give. So first reason where ACCA is a very good choice as a qualification is in terms of its recognition. So for example, it's a qualification which is accepted and recognized in 180 plus countries. So it doesn't matter where, whether you are pursuing your qualification in Doha, in Dubai, in London, in Singapore, your qualification will be recognized and accepted everywhere in the world.
So do you mean to say there is equal recognition if I have ACCA while I'm staying in London versus if I have an ACCA in Qatar?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
The second part is we don't just produce accountants. So ACCA qualification is a right combination of, where people get to learn about technical skills as well as we impart skills around leadership, sustainability, technology. So as a whole, once you complete the qualification, the final product is a combination of a complete business leader.
Okay.
The second thing is being future focused.
All right.
And third thing is the flexibility. And I admire the flexibility part, a great deal. So for example, it's a qualification which has been designed for the professionals.
All right.
I'm sure you being a professional yourself, you understand that how difficult it can get at times if you're working full time,
Absolutely.
then go back to your studies.
Yeah.
So ACC is a qualification which is flexible in terms of its entry point. So you can start the qualification right after your school.
Okay.
For example, right after your grade 10, grade 12.
Interesting.
You can start your qualification after your bachelor's.
So it's not only for working class. In fact, it's also for school-going students or school leavers as well.
Absolutely. And I think in this part of the world, majority of the students, they join the qualification right after their school, because there is this significant shift where students are thinking about why should we spend 4 years gaining a bachelor's degree while we have the option of starting ACCA right after our school. And ACCA provides you with an opportunity to gain a bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree on your way to becoming an ACCA member.
All right. So as a young school pass out, if I pursue ACCA, I could actually avail a bachelor's degree along the way while passing ACCA exams, as well as a master's degree. And from?
That is from University of London.
Oh, wow.
So we previously, we had a partnership with Oxford Brookes University, which would provide you with an opportunity to get a bachelor's degree in applied accounting from Oxford Brookes University. That partnership was in place for a number of decades, but now that is coming to an end next year.
All right.
But at the same time, we have an alternative solution available for our students.
Okay.
So from December this year onwards, students have the option of going for University of London's Bachelor's in Accounting.
That's an upgrade.
And that's an upgrade.
University of London is a very well recognized university.
It's actually one of the top 10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I think just going back to the question, I would again just repeat those 3 points. One is the recognition and acceptability. Second is being future focused, and third is flexibility of the qualification.
Okay, so that's very interesting. And I would like to ask or take you back towards one of the point that you actually mentioned about the entry requirements. So you mentioned that both school leavers as well as working professionals, those with academic qualifications, can actually join the ACCA. When I look at many US-based qualifications, there the prerequisite or the entry requirement or the eligibility requirement, you might call it, is you have to have a bachelor's degree. So with ACCA, there is no such requirement as such.
Absolutely. And again, I go back to my initial opening notes where I said when the association was founded, it was set in our DNA that we will try to remove artificial barriers for anyone who wishes to join the qualification.
Okay.
And when we say artificial barriers, it sounds like a very alien term. What artificial barriers you're talking about? So artificial barriers are, for example, you can only join the qualification if you're 18 years old. You can only join the qualification if you hold a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
You can only join the qualification if you are from this or that community. So these are all artificial barriers.
Okay.
That's why we open the door of the qualification for anyone. So it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what qualification you have. So you can join the qualification even if you have not formally passed a school qualification.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, or you can start after your grade 10. You can start after grade 12. And then you can start maybe after your bachelor's and
In
master's.
fact, I think you
as
can
well.
even start before that if you start with foundation in accounting.
That's exactly what I mentioned. After grade 8, grade 10, so you start with foundations in accountancy. That is just an entry point into the qualification.
Yeah.
So as I said, there are flexible entry points into the qualification, but eventually foundations of accountancy leads to the main ACCA qualification.
Okay, very interesting. And it's in fact fascinating to know that you can actually avail a professional degree without having to go through an academic route where you have to go to university on campus, and that too from one of the best university in the world.
And that's the uniqueness of the qualification, that we are giving you the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm sure you'll attest to the fact that parents from the South Asian community in particular, they are very concerned that if we send our kids to do a professional qualification right after their school, so they are missing out on the opportunity of getting a bachelor's or a master's degree.
Correct, yes.
So that's why we have these additional tie-ups with other universities, where we give our students an opportunity where they can go for a bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree.
So, taking on from your conversation where you mentioned that you get the best of the both worlds, that is a professional qualification alongside an academic qualification. Why is it that professional qualifications are actually sort of becoming like a necessity? So much so that almost every single job that you see out there on Google related to accounting or finance domain almost requires professional certification. How do you see this? What's your take on it?
I think this evolution or this change in the dynamics is coming for the from the last couple of decades now, where not just the employers but also the governments have seen the kind of the requirements of the changing workforce or the work landscape. Now it's not the conventional accounting and finance roles which used to be there a couple of decades ago.
Correct.
Where people working within accounting and finance sectors, they were just considered to be sitting behind the desk and doing the number crunching or preparing financial statements. That's not no longer the case.
Correct. With all this digital transformation.
Absolutely. Now, so I was reading a report which was conducted by ACCA, and in one of the findings of that report, it says that in a lot of organizations, actually professional accountants are the people who are leading the digital transformation and AI implications of things within that organization.
Generally accountants are expected to be the back office.
That's not the
front.
case.
Yeah.
That's not the case now.
Anymore.
Now with modern accountants, people with having professional qualifications, they are driving the business at the front.
They contribute to business decision making.
Absolutely, they do. And that's why I said at the start as well that that's where ACCA qualification plays a very crucial role, because throughout the qualification, it's not just the technical accounting skills that you are learning.
Yeah.
You are reading about, or you're studying about strategy. You're studying about leadership.
Correct.
You're studying about sustainability. And these are all those skills which are needed in today's modern workplace.
Correct.
And that's, again, especially within the GCC region, where we see that there is a strong nationalization drive across multiple countries, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in UAE. And governments are now emphasizing a lot on professional qualifications, where they are providing funding to their nationals to go for professional qualifications, not just in the field of accounting only, but other fields as well.
Exactly.
So that drive is coming from obviously the government push, as well as the employer understanding the fact that they are looking for people who are technically more hands-on with the skills.
In fact, based in the training industry, that's what we have seen recently, even locally. What I've heard is just very recently, government is actually encouraging Qatari nationals to pursue professional qualifications, and there is a full list of professional qualifications. And if they actually avail or complete these qualifications, then they get a salary increment and better career opportunities. And that's something that has been published very recently. And I've heard of some other countries as well, like Oman. In fact, we work with also some employers where they kind of like make it mandatory for their employees to actually, and I'm talking specifically about local nationals, to get professional certificate to be in the job or to be able to progress. So yeah, I think now employers have started to value professional qualifications a lot more than just academic.
And this
degrees.
drive is not just in one country or two countries, it's across the board. So we were at a session earlier this morning where we were talking about a lot of these governments providing funding. And again, Oman, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Qatar, they are leading all this drive. And even in Bahrain, if you look at Bahrain, even though comparatively in terms of its size, it's not that big.
Correct.
But there are funding bodies in Bahrain who are providing funding for the entire qualification, again mainly for the nationals. And majority of the employers are, and that drive is also coming from the fact that if you look at any job posting, so it has gone away from just we are looking for someone who has a bachelor's degree, rather than saying, we are looking for someone preferably having a professional qualification.
Correct.
So that preference coming from the employer side is also driving this.
Exactly, and it's pushing it. And just today, earlier, we were in a seminar in the morning and we saw that with one of the corporate, a lot of actually staff, both locals and expats, showed such a keen interest in pursuing ACCA and other professional qualifications. Ahmed, let me take you back to one of the points that you mentioned about the fact that ACCA does not prepare only accountants. One of the questions that I get asked a lot, and especially by parents of young individuals, that if my kid completes ACCA qualification, will they actually become an accountant? So I would like you to clarify this misconception as to whether does ACCA, if I become an ACCA qualified, what are the different types of roles that I could actually pursue as a young professional?
Thank you very much, Shweb, for this question. And I think I would just like to go back to a couple of things, a couple of misconceptions or myths around the profession itself. I think it comes from the fact that we have associated certain tags with certain professions or qualifications. So for example, within our community, within our social setup, without doing any sort of research, we have just assumed, or we just assume that if you become a doctor or an engineer, you will always be successful.
Correct.
Which everyone knows that is not always correct.
Not always the case.
Similarly, they think that if you're becoming a chartered accountant, that means you are just doing the number crunching.
Yeah.
You'll be doing long hours. You'll be just looking at the number side
on
of
the
things.
screen, yeah.
And that's a very conventional definition of an accountant. Now, the modern accountants are not doing the number crunching, and I will explain it to you from ACCA's syllabus as well.
Okay.
So if you look at ACCA's syllabus, that starts with very basic of accounting. So for example, if you're coming from a non-accounting, non-commerce background,
Okay.
you should be able to build that foundation by studying for the basic subjects like financial accounting and management accounting. Then it goes more technical into performance management, taxation, audit, financial
So
management.
the qualification starts ground up.
Ground up, absolutely. So building your foundation correctly. Then at the skills level, you're getting all the technical expertise. So now you have the knowledge that you have acquired through passing the first 9 papers. Okay, very good. You have all the knowledge in the world. But now the last 4 papers, they prepare you for the actual work scenarios. That's where whatever knowledge you have acquired from those initial 6, 7, 8 papers, you'll be able to practically apply that knowledge into the workplace.
All right.
And that's what matters. And again, that's why a lot of employers prefer professional qualifications, because it's all about practical application of the knowledge. And within ACCA, the strategic professional level, if you look at papers like strategic business reporting, strategic business leader, that's more around the leadership roles.
Correct, yeah.
That's more around that if you are given the role of a leader within any organization, and if you are coming across a very difficult situation, a complex scenario, how would you react in that scenario?
Absolutely.
So you are working on planning, you are working on strategy, you're working on how you will lead more leadership related roles. So it's not just the number crunching.
So are you saying that the syllabus is structured in a way whereby as you progress from one paper to another, likewise, it's designed to also cater to the fact that
they complement
the staff
each other.
Would be exactly
they
progressing.
complement each other. So for example, at the applied knowledge level, you study financial accounting and management accounting along with business and technology.
Yes.
So business and technology is the first paper just to introduce you that how both of these two things are, they work.
So those papers
hand
are
in hand.
designed primarily for entry-level professionals.
Entry-level professionals. Now, you move to the applied skills level.
Yes. And by applied
Then-
skills, just to clarify, it's the next 6 exams.
6 exams.
Okay.
So at the applied skills level, we start with corporate and business law, and then the next paper is performance management.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going for performance management and you have no basic understanding of management accounting, you'll not be able to do justice with that course.
Correct.
So that's why management accounting paper is a prerequisite of performance management. Then similarly, you move on, you go for the financial reporting paper. But financial reporting paper has a prerequisite which is financial accounting. Similarly, that financial reporting paper then leads to strategic business reporting paper.
Okay.
So all the paper complement each other. You are getting to study in a structured way, and each paper from one level to another, they complement each other.
All right.
So that's why
So it's like a step up.
it's like a step up. And the moment you reach the strategic professional level, then you talk about how would you actually apply all of that knowledge into the
real
workplace.
world.
Yes.
Okay, with real world case studies and applications.
Absolutely.
Okay, just to clarify for our audience, you talked about all the papers. You said the first 3 is the foundation level, then comes the applied skills, which are the next 6, and followed by the
Strategic professional level.
strategic papers. Where would a student get the degree? At what stage?
So as of now, since our partnership with Oxford Brookes University is still intact. So as of now, students would pass the first 9 papers, which means applied knowledge and applied skills level.
Okay.
After passing the first 9 papers, they have to submit a thesis to Oxford Brookes University, and they get a bachelor's degree in applied accounting if they pass that thesis. Going forward from December 2026 onwards, the new partnership that we have with University of London, under that arrangement, 2 of the papers that students used to give within the ACCA journey, which are the performance management and the financial management modules, students will be required to give or study these modules with University of London. They'll also have to submit a project to the university, and then they will get a bachelor's degree from University of London.
Okay.
Similarly, if you want to go for a master's degree in professional accounting, again from University of London, that would mean you have to also pass the remaining 4 papers.
Okay.
Once you are done with all the 13 papers, once you have become an ACCA affiliate, then you can go for 2 additional modules, 1 additional project, and you get an MSc degree.
I think ACCA is very generous. That's like an absolute win-win situation. You're getting diplomas along the way, you're getting a degree, you could actually go for a master's from such a reputed institution, and of course, being awarded a professional qualification from ACCA. So it's just an absolute win for someone who pursues ACCA. I'd like to go back to, take our conversation back to the misconception. And one of the misconceptions that we hit on was that ACCA is not only for accountants, you could actually pursue a diverse set of roles. The second one is, as you mentioned, and I would like to ask you this, do I really need to have an accounting background to pursue ACCA?
Absolutely not. I mean, we are saying if you are coming from a school background, if you have a grade 10 or grade 12 where you have pursued sciences, maybe engineering or medical, and you can start with ACCA, so why would we keep, this requirement that you need to have an accounting background to pursue ACCA? That is absolutely not the requirement.
Okay.
As you go through the qualification from one level to another, the qualification will develop you into that professional, or will impart that knowledge which is required for the next level papers.
Okay.
So accounting background is not a mandatory requirement.
So I could be a geologist and I could pursue
Absolutely.
ACCA.
I mean, I've been with ACCA for a number of years now. I've interacted with thousands and thousands of students. I've come across people who have done engineering and then they have gone on to become an ACCA member.
Okay.
I have seen people who have officially retired and they just want to go for ACCA just to gain that knowledge. I've come across people who have done PhD, eventually starting their ACCA qualification. So there is no restriction, who can join the qualification.
And I can confirm this because I've once had a student who was 60 years old who joined me in the class. And apart from that, I once had 2 other candidates who were doctors that wanted to move towards finance, and they actually were attending the class. So yes, professional qualification like ACCA is open to anyone with any background, no matter what they have studied.
And I would reverse the question to you. Why do you think those doctors at any point in their career, they thought, okay, finance or accounting is something that they need?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. In fact, I get a lot of students from variety of different professions that actually want to make a switch towards finance, investments, banking, accounting. Because what happens is, for example, I've had a lot of engineers that actually approached me, and I often ask them, okay, why is it that you want to move? So many of them did not expect that they will have to actually work on field. And when you have to work on field as an engineer, it's not actually easy. It's very draining, physically very draining as well. And they want to have this luxury of being able to work in the office. And as a result, and secondly, of course, another primary reason is also when you're working on the accounting and finance or investments or let's say banking, every time you're working on a project or an initiative, there is always something new that you're learning, So it's quite exciting versus a very same monotonous, similar kind of a job that they're performing on a day-to-day basis. So this has been one of the common reason actually for many candidates.
And I would say maybe that there is this, entrepreneur within the doctors as well. So maybe at any point in their life, they want to get into starting their own business, maybe setting up their own clinic or hospital. And that's where that financial literacy becomes very important.
Very important.
So either there are 2 ways. You understand the numbers yourself,
correct,
or you hire someone to do, or, who understands the number for you.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be the reason as well.
Absolutely. Exactly. And in fact, since recently I've started my own business and several different businesses as well. So it's something that as an entrepreneur, ACCA has benefited me a great deal, So so you're absolutely right. It benefits you personally as well as professionally and in your personal entrepreneurial journey as well. I want to go back to misconceptions. There is also one belief that these professional qualifications, they only prepare you technically. So technically you become very sound, you know the things in and out. But in the real world, there are a lot of variety of different skills that are actually required, that employer are actually looking for. And this is one of the concern also that employers have. So what is ACCA doing? And you have shed some light on that, but I would like you to elaborate on this more. How is ACCA preparing if young people are actually joining ACCA for the kind of skills that this real competitive world and fast-changing world actually need?
That's a very valid question, and I think there is this growing demand around having additional professional skills. So there are a number of things that ACCA provides you with. Number one, as part of your qualification journey, so ACCA has 3 components. One is exams. Of course, you have to go through the exams journey. Second is an online module called Ethics and Professional Skills module, and that is one of the mandatory requirement in order for you to become a member. And as part of that module, you're exposed to a number of things. Number one, you get to know more about the ethical implications of things or whatever job you'll be doing. And then there are 9 other units which talk about other professional skills. For example, interpersonal skills.
Interesting.
Leadership skills, data analytics, business acumen.
And is this mandatory to complete?
It is mandatory to complete.
Alongside the exams?
Actually, we recommend that you as a student should complete that module before attempting any paper at the strategic professional level, because the professional skills that you learn within that module will help you with your professional marks in the strategic professional level.
All right.
So that's number one thing where ACCA imparts the professional skills. Second thing is the mandatory inclusion of the work experience as part of your ACCA membership journey.
So that's mandatory professional experience.
So yeah, that's again a differentiator between an academic and a professional qualification.
Very interesting.
Within ACCA qualification, yes, you can call yourself that I've passed ACCA paper, I'm an ACCA affiliate. You can technically not call yourself a chartered certified accountant. You cannot write ACCA designatory letters after your name until or unless you have gone through the 3 years practical experience requirement in a relevant field, for example, in accounting, finance, auditing, or taxation, and only then. And then that 3 years time is where you get to apply all of the knowledge which you have acquired through your exams, through your books and everything into the workplace. So as ACCA, we understand that before giving that endorsement seal that someone is an ACCA member, they are a chartered certified accountant, they need to go through a rigorous training process.
All right.
So that we are confident that now they are skilled to a level where they can go and then support other organizations. So that's number 2. Number 3, throughout the process of becoming a student, then to affiliate, then to member, there are so many other platforms. So for example, recently ACCA has launched ACCA Skills platform,
Okay, very
which is a dedicated platform where you can go and learn those skills which you require.
Any sort of contemporary skills.
Absolutely.
And is it paid or free?
It's free. Sorry,
Oh, wow.
It's free
For the members and students.
Yeah, it's an online platform.
Okay.
There is another platform. So for example, there is a mentoring platform available where you can go, you can set up yourself an account, and you can look for ACCA members who are working in various organizations and who are volunteering to provide mentorship services.
Okay, very interesting.
So there are multiple avenues where ACCA supports its future members and members where they can acquire additional skills.
Okay. So to sum it up, to call yourself a chartered accountant, you need to complete all the exams, which are 13 mandatory exams, the practical skills module, as well as a 36 months of professional work experience. And besides that, you also have other avenues and platforms where you could develop the contemporary skills, interpersonal, soft skills, leadership skills as well.
Absolutely. Just a little correction here, Shoaib. I would say chartered certified accountant because if we are referring to chartered accountants, then they are referred to normally other bodies or associations. And again, I would like to emphasize on another fact. So for example, sometimes I come across questions that, for example, you say that the profession is changing and there are so many changes happening. Let's just say that you completed your qualification back in 2010.
Yeah.
And now you are an ACCA member or maybe a fellow member of ACCA. So, and since 2010 or 12, the qualification has evolved significantly. So does that mean the knowledge that I acquired at that point is now irrelevant? So that's where ACCA also focuses or emphasizes a lot on continuous professional development.
Yeah, CPD.
Now, what is CPD? It's that what after becoming an ACCA member. So that means then you have to continue your journey. You have to comply with professional development requirements every year. With ACCA, it's 40 CPD units, which means every year you have to gain 40 hours of learning relevant to your field. So that also provides you with an opportunity to upskill on your professional skills.
Very interesting.
So for example, as I'm sure you're aware that there are certain updates to financial reporting standards, accounting standards, which every professional need to keep up with.
Yes.
And there are so many refresher trainings that take place around the region. So we put in a lot of emphasis that our members go through those trainings. ACC organizes a lot of CPD sessions themselves. We organize networking opportunities for our members and future members so that we provide you with that platform where you're learning or where you're getting an opportunity to upskill yourself.
So as they say, get updated or get outdated. So is it mandatory to complete certain CPD hours for ACCA professionals?
It is mandatory for ACCA members so for example, once you become a member, what is next for you? So next is you become a fellow member. How do you become a fellow member? You have to continue your membership for consecutive 5 years.
Okay.
How do you continue your membership? Number one, obviously, as ACCA is a membership association, so you pay your annual subscription.
Correct.
And second thing is you comply with your CPD requirement, which is 40 CPD units every year.
And that needs to be filed annually.
Annually, yes. So that is a mandatory requirement. And obviously within those 40, then there are certain requirements which I don't want to go into,
Yeah.
because that will then become
We'll
a very
keep that
technical.
for another session.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. Taking our conversation back towards the entry requirements. Let's say if I am a qualified accountant, I have already completed a university qualification, bachelor's in, let's say, accounting or business administration, specializing in accounting, versus if I am just a school leaver, I have just completed my grade 12 right now. Do we both start at the same level in ACCA?
So Shoaib, there are multiple entry points into the qualification, and as we briefly touched upon at the start,
Okay.
if you're coming from a school background, so and if you do not meet the specific entry requirement for the ACCA qualification, so you start with foundations in accountancy, which is just another entry point into the qualification. It doesn't mean that you have to pass additional exams.
Okay.
So you still have to pass 13 papers. At foundations in accountancy, you'll be passing the first 3 papers.
Okay.
Then you'll be transferring into ACCA and you'll be finishing or completing the remaining 10 papers.
So it's a separate course, but it basically brings
It's
you
just
into
another entry point into the
Okay.
qualification. Now, since if you have a bachelor's degree, let's say in commerce
All right.
or in accounting, where you have already gone through these courses and you have studied like for 3 years or 4 years time, then ACCA actually recognizes the prior learning bit, and they grant you certain exemptions which can vary from anything between 3 up to a maximum of 9 exemptions.
Okay, so you can avail exemptions.
Absolutely, you can.
Okay, so that sounds very interesting. And okay, let me ask you this question regarding the exemptions that you actually just mentioned right now. Let's say I got 9 exemptions and I only have to do 4 exams versus someone who started because they had a bachelor's in a very different domain, say as a doctor or engineer, and that individual had to complete all 13 exams. Does that not sound unfair? Because at the end of the day, both are getting the same qualification. One is getting it in a very short period of time by getting the exemption and only doing very small number of papers, versus someone who is required to do all the papers and it will take them good amount of time.
Right. So, Shoaib, as ACCA, as a professional accounting body, we work with multiple stakeholders.
Okay.
That include obviously our members and future members. We also work very closely with employers. We work very closely with other professional accounting associations. Not only that, but we also work with universities.
Okay.
Now we understand that not everyone is ready to join a professional accountancy qualification right after the school, and they prefer going for a university qualification
Okay.
before
Yes.
coming back to ACCA or any other qualification. And at that point, we understand that if you have spent considerable amount of time,
All right.
for example, between 3 to 4 years time, completing a bachelor's degree, so that could be a blocker for anyone who thinks that, oh, after spending 4 years in accountancy related or in accounting or commerce related qualification, and now I have to start my journey again going through the same paper. So for example, if you have done Bachelor of Commerce
Yeah.
or Bachelor's of Accounting, and ACCA mandates you that you have to study again financial accounting and management accounting and all those courses
Yeah.
which you have studied multiple times. So they're in so many universities, there are
Correct.
courses like Accounting 1, Accounting 2, and then the
Yes.
financial statement analysis. So you have already studied those courses. So 4 is the number of exemptions which we call the framework exemption, which is by default. If you have an accounting majors degree, regardless of the fact that whether ACCA works with your university or not, you're eligible for 4 exemptions
Right.
based on the prior learning. But then there are some universities which we call accredited universities,
All right. Very interesting.
where we work very closely with the university, and we don't award exemptions just because that the university XYZ is influential or they are very big in their name. Rather, we work very closely with them in making sure that their syllabus and their assessments align with ACCA standards.
All right.
And that's a very rigorous process that at sometimes can take up to 6 months, where
Okay.
universities have to put in or invest quite a lot of effort to ensure that not only their syllabus has and 80% comparability with our syllabus.
Okay.
And their assessment styles are also comparable to ACCA assessment style as well. So that's when we call a program is fully accredited, and that's where you get the maximum number of exemptions.
So the only check and balance that is placed is at a university level, where you as ACCA actually ensure that these universities meet certain criteria and standard, and then their students are given extra exemptions more than 4 because of the fact that they are accredited.
Absolutely.
But there's no check and balance at a student level. For example, how would I rate 2 students passing out of the same academic degree at the same level? For example, if I've completed bachelor's in accounting and I got upper class versus someone who just barely made it, would the 2 be given, just because they're coming out of an accredited university, would the 2 be given the same number of exemptions?
So going back to your first point, we understand that there could be some knowledge gap elements, and that's where ACCA has developed self-check knowledge modules.
Okay.
And we strongly recommend that those students, especially who are coming with an exemptions background, they first go and understand where those knowledge gaps are, and then they should be able to cover those knowledge gaps. So for example, if you're receiving 9 exemptions and you're straight away sitting for the last 4 papers and you're taking strategic business reporting, so you'll be able to immediately understand in your first attempt itself. If you are not able to pass the exam in your first attempt, that means if the exemptions which were awarded to your university, were they correct or not. So ACCA puts in quite a lot of rigorous processes in place in making sure that we are not only awarding them exemptions and then not working back with them. We make sure that we stay closely in touch with them. We keep on reviewing their syllabus, and exemption or accreditation is only awarded for a period of 5 years only.
Okay.
So for example, if within those 5 years, if they have made any significant changes within their syllabus or within their assessment style, they have to immediately inform us so that we can then adjust their accreditation status based on that. And after 5 years, they have to submit a fresh application.
Okay.
But I understand your point from a perspective that if someone who's going through the entire qualification, that is something where I said we have to cater to this student set as well, where they see it as some sort of a blocker or a barrier, where if you tell them that they have to complete 9 papers or 10 papers after completing a 4 years degree, that can be a barrier for anyone who wants to pursue a qualification.
And frankly speaking, we as teachers, what we observe in the class is that those who actually avail these exemptions, many of them are working class professionals who got their bachelor's degree or their master's degree a couple of years ago, and now they want to pursue professional qualification like ACCA for their career growth, or their employer actually requires it. When they get these exemptions, because they're sort of a bit rusted because they're not used to studying rigorously or preparing for such rigorous exams. So when they come into the classes, they already have lost the essential foundation. And earlier you talked about the fact that ACCA goes progressively. So there's financial accounting subject, then there is an advanced version, and then there is an even advanced version. So there is a bit of a struggle for these students when they come into the class, because we have to actually take them back towards the foundational subjects, refresh and revise the essential foundation, build that up again, and then bring them back into the ongoing subject that they are actually pursuing.
Shoaib, you've made a very imperative, very pertinent point, and that's where we really value the role of our approved learning providers here. We strongly recommend not only the students who are coming directly into the qualification after school, but mainly to those students who are studying with an accredited university, claiming some exemptions, and then coming straight into the strategic professional level. The reason is we emphasize on the fact that you are coming with certain number of exemptions, and now in order for you to move from that knowledge gap element, if you're studying with an expert tutor who understands that's how they have to bridge that knowledge from skills level to the strategic professional level, and they understand, and they are able to, during the initial classes, they put in those additional efforts to make sure you are able to bridge the gap, and then you are ready for the more advanced level qualification.
Thank you for clarifying that, Ahmed. I think if we don't talk about the 2-letter word, our viewers will be very disappointed if they watch this podcast, and that's AI. So a lot of young people that actually come to us these days, they're very anxious about the fact when they read in the news that there will be a lot of massive job losses and AI is coming and robotics and all this complete digital transformation is happening. And they ask us this question, okay, if I do pursue ACCA, what's going to happen if there will be no jobs? So what is your take on this, number one? And secondly, what is ACCA? The ACCA logo says think ahead. So I would like to ask you this question. Thinking ahead, what is ACCA actually doing to address this thing?
I think the most commonly asked question these days around digital transformation, AI and everything. And ACCA, at ACCA, we do understand the importance of all these changes. So first thing, as my point, I would say AI is not a barrier. It's actually an enabler.
Okay, so you don't see it as a threat?
I don't see it as a threat. And just like, this morning, I gave that example of computers. When computers were introduced, people were thinking computers to be a threat as well.
I remember my dad telling me that when the century was ending, they were thinking the world is ending because the computer would not accept the new date.
I think that was called Y2K something, if I'm correct. So that is same as the case with every new technology. I think I'm not that old, but I think people would have the same thought when calculators were introduced.
And likewise internet.
I remember when I was in school, and if I use calculator for simple calculations, my father would tell me that you will become, less intelligent if you're using calculators. For simple calculations, just use your brain. But we need to look at these tools as enabler, which will give us more time to focus on more strategic things. So as we said at the start, and I've repeated it multiple times, that as a professional accountant, your role is not to do the number crunching, but rather looking at more strategic level things.
Using that data to be able to contribute towards business decision making.
Absolutely. So if AI is facilitating or supporting you or giving you some time back where you have more brain time, more thinking time to look at more strategic level things, so that is something that you need to adopt. And you need to learn these new skills. That's number one. Number two, ACCA is embedding all of these new things within its curriculum.
Okay, very interesting.
So that's where ACCA has elements of data analytics. ACCA has elements of AI. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but ACCA has a full short course on certificate in fintech, where ACCA talks about Python. ACCA has covered machine learning. Not only this, but we have also developed a course on ethical use of AI in collaboration with Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment.
Very interesting.
So there are so many elements that we are covering as part of our curriculum. And I'm sure if you've heard about the new redesigned qualification, which is coming in July 2027. As part of that change as well, ACCA is introducing an altogether new paper, which is data science professional.
Oh, very interesting. Okay.
So ACCA is already putting
accountants studying data science.
That is very important. Because data is king.
Exactly.
So
they say data is the new oil.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So ACCA is making those changes as part of its curriculum as well, and we are making sure that students are going through those changes as part of their qualification. So once they are into their workplace, that is not the first time that they are learning about that new thing. Secondly, ACCA develops a lot of research pieces as well.
Okay.
We conduct a lot of webinars. We conduct a lot of reports. And we strongly recommend our members and future members that they make use of these resources to make themselves aware, to participate in these webinars, face-to-face events that we organize, where you'll get to learn more about the practical implications of all these new upcoming technologies.
Okay, very interesting. It's glad to know how ACCA has actually taken all these actions to prepare the workforce for tomorrow. I think since we are really short of time, as you know, we're heading into the next event after this, both of us. I would like to ask you, putting myself into the shoes of a parent that is interested in pursuing accounting profession or finance profession for their kid. Fine, if my kid completes, let's say, an ACCA, Tell me about any success story of someone who has actually done ACCA and then has progressed in their career and has become successful, be it an entrepreneur or a corporate person.
I think the easiest answer for this question is just sitting across the table. I would say you have gone through the entire journey yourself,
Yes,
and I
thank you so
think
much.
you are just not just because we are having this discussion. I think you have lived that actual journey yourself, where
Yes.
you have joined the qualification right after your school. You haven't
Yeah.
gone through that conventional way of going to a university,
Yeah.
getting a university degree,
Correct.
and then going for a
Yes.
master's and all. You've gone through ACCA. You have acquired your bachelor's degree from
Yeah.
Oxford Brookes University as well, and
You have touched
mashallah
on something
now,
that's very emotional to me because many people don't know this actually.
and now you're running your own business. So apart from you, if I have to give some examples just from the Qatar market, I would say we have this bright young gentleman called Mohammed Zishan,
Yes.
who is actually the top affiliate for Qatar. He has
Mashallah.
won multiple prizes in different papers, where he scored the highest in those papers.
And how has that benefited him in terms of his career?
I think he's working with one of the big fours right
Yes,
now.
correct.
And those additional accolades do help you in your professional ladder as well.
Yes, I've seen him progress almost every year.
So that's a
in the past 5
testament.
years.
That's a
Correct.
testament where these big organizations, they do understand, number one, that professional qualifications in itself is not an easy task. So no, you are not just passing, you're actually acing those exams.
Correct.
Where you are either the national prize winner or you are the regional prize winner. So that speaks a lot about your commitment. Other than that, we have another very inspirational figure, Ghazi Jishan.
MashaAllah.
So
Okay.
he is originally from Bangladesh. He moved from Bangladesh to Doha a couple of years ago. I
Okay.
don't remember exactly when he moved here. He was working in the corporate sector, but then a number of years ago, he started his own business, and
Okay.
now he shuttles between Dhaka,
MashaAllah, okay.
Doha, and London.
All right.
So he's running his own
So
business.
from corporate job towards entrepreneurship, and that ACCA is actually helping him in that.
Exactly. And I think in our event later this
Yes,
evening,
we have
he
invited
will be
him.
talking about his journey and how
Yes.
ACCA assisted him
Okay.
in his journey as well. So I think there are so many examples. I can name so many other names as well, and the list can continue.
Yeah.
But just to give you some inspirational names
Yeah.
that I can
And
think
I'm
of.
genuinely impressed. If I had a kid, I would certainly put him into an ACCA journey. Continuing from the discussion, what you just mentioned. So if I have an ACCA and you mentioned of some success stories locally here in Qatar, would that open global opportunities for me as an ACCA qualified if I get qualified in Qatar?
So again, in one of the initial questions where you talked about what is unique about ACCA, and that's where I would say one thing that we proudly say is ACCA is your academic passport. And normally people get confused.
Correct.
What is an academic
Yeah.
passport? So passport is something that lets you travel
Yes.
across the world.
Correct.
An academic passport means ACCA qualification is accepted and recognized in 180 plus countries.
Wow, mashallah.
So if it doesn't matter wherever you are in the world, so for example, if you're starting your career in Qatar today, and after a couple of years later, as an expat, if you have to move back to your own country, or if you have to move to Canada or to Australia or to Far East or anywhere else, ACCA qualification will work as your passport
Yeah.
because it is accepted and recognized elsewhere. And that's,
Wow.
as part of my last response as well, that's how Ghazi was able to travel from Bangladesh to Doha,
Wow,
and then to
mashallah.
be able to set up his own business in London as well.
Wow. So it takes you globally everywhere.
It does, absolutely. So not only this, another benefit is the global network that you get. So for example, I was just working on a project and for which I needed a speaker. So just being part of ACCA and thanks to LinkedIn, I was just very easily able to locate all the ACCA members who are working in Qatar,
Okay.
working for which organization. Are they a member? Are they a future member with us?
Very interesting.
And I was able to reach out to them and they were very kind of them that they responded immediately and they made themselves available.
The world is becoming a global village.
Absolutely. So that's where your connections will play a very important role as well. And by joining the ACCA qualification, imagine we are talking about approximately 550,000 students.
Wow, mashallah.
We're talking about
I
200.
think that's the highest number of students with any professional body.
That's with global associations. That's one of the highest. We have 250,000 members right now in 180 countries. So you can look at the size of opportunities with that
Correct,
network.
yes.
So it doesn't matter if you have to move tomorrow to a new country, because you will already have connections there. You'll already have an ACCA network there who will be available to help you with getting those opportunities.
That's very interesting, Ahmed. I think our conversation can go on and on. I've got so many questions in my mind, but unfortunately I have to restrict myself since we are almost out of time.
Happy to do an episode too.
Again,
anytime.
yes, absolutely. I would love to invite you again, perhaps when you come down to Qatar next time. Just the very last question before we actually close our conversation. What role do you think academic institutions like our training academy plays in shaping the future of finance professionals?
So, Shoaib, I think that is one thing that ACCA believe, that approved learning providers like Leaders Training Center, they play a very crucial role in the students' success. And we believe in the whole ecosystem. So, for example, it's not possible for ACCA to just keep on doing everything on their own.
Absolutely.
As a professional accounting body, we don't teach our qualification ourselves, because that is something which could be considered as a conflict of interest.
Correct, yes.
So we work very closely with employers, we work very closely with universities, British councils, schools, but approved learning providers play a very crucial and important role in students' success journey. So for example, I was giving you Zishan's example.
Yes.
It becomes very challenging for you to go through or pass a 50. I mean, so many times we discuss that with ACCA qualification, whether you score a 50 or a 70, it's
Correct.
the same.
It's the same, exactly.
Right? But helping you cross over that line, there are so many students who pass or fail their exam between 45 to 49.
Yes.
And that's where the role of the learning provider comes, that they help them get over the line.
Correct.
With their right guidance, with the right support, with giving them a structured way of learning, with giving them that atmosphere where they can they can understand all the concepts in the right way.
Yes.
ACCA qualification or for a fact all other professional qualification, they are quite challenging.
Correct, yes.
And if you don't have the right mentor, if you don't
Right
have the
guidance.
right tutor to help you pass through those or go through those challenges, it will become very difficult for you, and it might bog you down as well.
Exactly.
And with a qualification like ACCA, if you hit some initial failures, that could also lead to end of your journey.
Correct,
with
yes.
the
Many people
qualification
dropping
as
out,
well.
yes.
So that's why we emphasize in each of our discussion with future members, wherever we go, if we speak to prospective students as well, we always tell them to study with an approved learning provider.
In fact, something that we emphasize to students, like whenever we get students, as I mentioned before, there is a possibility that those students actually got exemptions. And as a learning provider, to be very honest and transparent, of course, when our instructors actually teach, there is a cost associated and involved in it. So if, let's say, someone is coming for an exam like F7, which is, let's say, financial reporting, but they got exemptions and their foundation is weak, we as training providers, we actually step out of the way and give them extra sessions and even put them into our other batches to help prepare that foundation without any extra charge. So in a way to actually develop their foundation so that they can succeed in the exams. Otherwise, as you rightly said, many of them actually try and make an attempt, fail if they try it by themselves, and then they drop out.
Exactly. And I think based on a couple of conversations that I have with some students, I think they feel it as a cost, where they have to pay to an approved learning provider for the tuition delivery charges and all. But I think they need to consider or take it as an investment. So imagine if you're going for one ACCA paper that is, so let's just say it costs you £150.
Yeah.
And if you just decide that you will just do the self-study or you'll do online studying with or you'll watch recorded YouTube videos, and that eventually leads you to failing that exam.
Yeah.
That means you are paying an additional £150. You are going through that mental trauma. You're wasting or investing or preparing for 3 additional months for that
Correct.
same paper.
Yes.
It's better that you study with the right partner who can help you passing those exams in the first go itself.
Exactly. And as teachers, we don't only teach in the class. Many people think that the value that we bring is we're only technically teaching in the class. But actually, personally, I feel like a lot of time my role is beyond that. So we also act as mentors, coaches from time to time, because most of the time you have to keep motivating them, keep giving them reminders of what they need to do, keep pushing them so that they actually study, they commit, and they for them to be able to succeed, because commitment is one of the key issue, especially with a lot of young people these days. So that's also a role that we play as coaches inside the classes. So again, Ahmed, thank you so much for such a great and fantastic conversation. So we have to wrap up now as we are heading towards another event. I'd just like to thank you for such an insightful discussion, Ahmed. Thank you for your time and for sharing all this wisdom with our viewers. I'm sure our viewers would have learned a lot from today's conversation and would derive inspiration from today's talk. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, Shoaib, for having me.
It was
Thank
nice
you so
having
much.
you.
Thank you.